So we've got our toes done, we've got our tails done. It's time to do the middle section. We're going to start with a master cord. You're actually going to start by marking off your stations. Once again, your stations. First station we're going to start the master cord is 4 inches down from the crossbar. And then you take your handy dandy little marker and put some pencil marks on this side and also on that side. Okay, so we're going to start out with the master cord, and you start it on the left hand side with a slip knot. And I've already used the lighter on that end to tighten it up. Okay, so we're going to be flipping this snowshoe back and forth, doing this girth cord, or sorry, master cord. So we want to start on the left hand side, and then we're going to turn the shoe upside down, and we're going to tie it off on the opposite side with the girth hitch. Okay, now I've got like, it's 50 foot of webbing here, the large kind, so it's going to take me a while to pull this through. And you don't have to do the whole amount. You can do it in like 25 and put a hitch in it, or a, I forget what they call it, a splice. Sorry, not a hitch, if you'd rather. Okay, so there's one girth hitch. And then I'm gonna come over here and do the other one with a girth hitch on top of that, still upside down. Same girth hitch, it's just on top of what you've already done. Once I get this back side done, I'm going to flip it back over to the right side. So I'm going to tighten up that girth hitch. Once again, we're working on the master cord. This is the one that your boot is going to rock on. So that's why it needs to be really strong. So I'm going to flip it back over to the right side and do another girth hitch. On top of that one. And then I'm going to do one more on the other side with the right side facing up. So that gives me 4 ties, four girth hitch ties on that master cord. Tighten it up. This is the last one. So, and if you look at your pattern, it'll say start here and then it says 1. Well, that can be confusing, especially if you don't start your girth hitch on the left. When we get done with this, or your slip knot on the left, sorry. When we get done with this girth hitch, it'll say your starting point's here. Well, you think about that as being number 1, but actually they call number 1 over here. So it's a little bit confusing. If you don't get it right, you get too many hitches on one side and not enough on the other. Ask me how I know. So it pays to look at your diagram, read the instructions. So here's all my, I got one, let's tighten up some, like 1, 2, 3, 4, if you look in here, for my master cord. And this is going to get wrapped, so not to worry if it's a little bit loose. Okay, so if you look on your diagram, it says, for your middle section, it says, start lacing. And then it says 1 across here. So this is start lacing, this is 1. Now I would have thought of this as 1 and 2, but whatever. So we'll start our lacing here. We will try to start our lacing here. Our girth hitch. Here's my other bunny ear. So this is where I start, and then I'm going to come across and go to number 1. And if it helps you to write down the numbers, that's great. I don't usually, but doesn't mean that it isn't a better idea to do it. So I'm going to tighten up that girth hitch. Now that's my starting point now, number 1. This is number 1 over here. And when you're working with 50 foot of webbing, it takes a while to pull it through. But the more you weave, the less you have to pull. Always a good thing. Okay. So for here, we're looking for number 2. Well, number 2 is up top on the crossbar. So we're going to tighten up this girth hitch. Now, so when we hit up to number 2, which is going to be up here, and it goes on top of and comes back, okay, we need to make sure that we are going up the correct way. The correct way is on top of that master cord, around the crossbar, and then on this top crossbar, pull that through, on that crossbar you come around it like that, and then over to the left side. Around it, behind it, over to the left side. Now it comes back on. Oops, sorry. And it goes around one more time here. And it goes underneath it. See it again. It goes on top. And then it goes around to the front, around to the front a second time, and underneath that master cord on the right hand side of the lead over it. So that's how it's going to look, and then you tighten it up. And then from here, we're going down to number 3. Now remember, if you look at your diagram, you got like, down here we've got to the lower crossbar, it'll be like 32, 22, 12, and then 3. So that's your 3 mark that you want to come down to. It's worth it to take a time and look at it. Now here's what's different when you come down to this crossbar. Usually on a crossbar you go always on top of. On this lower crossbar you don't. You go underneath and come up. Only on the lower one, not on the top one. So I'm going to pull that through. Back, heading towards 4. And 4 is up here. I'm sorry. 4 is up here on the crossbar. Alright, so, but I want to go underneath it. And then towards 4. Underneath it. Underneath here. And then towards 4. Okay. So then, this is a left. And left always go on top of. On top of. And if you come over here and look then, this is a right, and rights always go underneath horizontal. So if you take a look there, you can see I made a mistake because that needs to go underneath that one. So I'm going to back this out. And make sure I go underneath that. Because it is a right, and rights go underneath the horizontal. So like I say, it pays to look and make sure you do it right the first time. Because pulling out is just about as fun as watching snow melt. Especially when you got a 50-foot piece. So, really watch when you're doing these turns on the side. They're called advances, that you make sure that you've incorporated the weave correctly, and we'll get there. So, when I look at this, this is a right. It's going down to 3. 3's right here, and actually it's going to go underneath it on the bottom crossbar and goes behind it. And then that's going to go up to 4. So let me pull that through again. Can it knot up? Yes. Never let go of the piece that you're pulling. Okay, so we've gone around station 3, we've gone underneath it, okay? And then we're headed up to 4. 4 is up here on the crossbar. This is a left, so we make sure that lefts always go on top of the horizontal. Even though that's a master chord, it's still horizontal, okay? And when you come up to the crossbar here, top crossbar always on top of and then around. And then they come back on the left hand side. So now we're looking for 5. 5 is right here below the start lacing. So I'm going to pull this through. And I've come to that, I've gone over the top of it, I've come to the left of it out, and I'm going to go to number 5. And so this is now considered, let's see, wait a minute. As I do this, I'm going to do the same thing up here. I'm going to twist it, so I'm going to come on top of it, start on the left hand side, come on top of it, and then I'm going to go underneath.